Hey everybody, the purpose of this video is to get you some solutions to our homework from last time, which is the 10%, 1%, 5%, 20%, a way of finding percentages without having to reach for your calculator every single time. For example, if you need a quick approximation or even a quick calculation of a percentage, you can get to it fairly straightforwardly. So for the first one here, it's 16% of 300. We're not going to do every single one of these because once you see how to do, my board's not that big, first of all, and once you see how to do a couple, the rest of it, it's actually, first of all, you may have done them differently, first of all. Secondly, the idea is you can, well, yeah, you'll see kind of the variety that you can do this in. So 16% of 300. Now, if you read the little bit about up here, you can see how this breaks down. 16%, you can think of it as 10% plus 5% plus 1%. 10 plus 5 is 15 plus 1 is 16%. And the beautiful thing about this is, once you know that, you can work that on the 300 very easily using the exact same stuff we had talked about in the previous homework and then this. When you look at that, what is 10% of 300? Well, 10% of 300 is 30. Is that $300? No, it's just 300. It's 30 because it's 1/10 of that 300. 5% of 300. 5% of 300 is going to be half of that because 5 is half of 10. 5 is half of 10, so that's going to be half of that. And the 1%, you can do a number of different ways. I've heard people do 1% as dividing that by 5. But perhaps the easiest way to do this one, 1% of 300, that's 1/100th of 300. So if you were to take 300 and divide it into 100 equal pieces, how much would each one of those pieces be? And that's 3. So when you realize that 16% is 10 plus 5 plus 1 as percentages, that's going to be 30 plus 15, which is 45 plus 3, which equals 48. And that, my friends, is 16% of your 300. And that's what's kind of nice about any of these, is you can do almost all of them in the same way. So let me just walk you through. I'll walk you through number 2 like this. And then we'll verbally talk through 3, 4, and 5, and we'll talk about how you could put these ideas together to do them. Because you really don't need to do all the math if you understand the basic principle of how you're breaking the percentages down. So number 2 here, 2 is 22% of, what is that? That is $1,500. Okay. So 22%. Let's break this down into units that make sense. So one way to do this is to figure out what 10% of $1,500 is. So 10%, using the same idea, if you break up $1,500 into 10 equal pieces, each one of those is going to be $150. And you need 2 of those 10%, right? Because you're trying to get to 22. That means you have to go 10 plus 10 to give you 20. So 10% again is another 150. Now you need an additional 2%. Now, you can get fancy with this. 2% is actually a fifth of this, but you can also just go with 2 1%. 2 1%, which would each be $15. So 10 plus 10 plus 1 plus 1 is 22%, and then you add up the amounts. You got 150, and 150 is 300. Plus an additional 30, which is going to be $330 to get you 22%. So then all you got to do for the remainder of these puppy dogs is just figure out what of the easy percentages can be combined to make them. So the next one's 13%. I mean, honestly, the easiest one I can think of is get 1 10% and then 3 1%. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. 42% Couple ways you can do this one. You could do 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, and then 1%, 1%. And that gives you 42%. Another thing you can try to figure out if you want is once you know what 10% is, you can jump right to 40% by quadrupling it. So if you know that if for example for that one, 10% of 720 is 72, that means 40% would be 288 because you would quadruple 72 to get 288. That's up to you. You can also just go 10, 10, 10, 10, 1, 1. 57%, okay, a whole bunch of ways you can do this one. You can go 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 to get 50% plus an additional 5. You can cut one of those 10s in half to get 5 and then do 2 more 1s. If you're really feeling fancy, you can figure out 10, double it to get 20, then you got 20, 20, 20 to get 60, and then take away 3 1s. That's crazy talk. That might be more work than it's worth. But anyway, there's really just no end to what you can do with these. You can break these up anyway. And I know you can also very easily just do 0.16 times 300, 0.22 times 1500. I know you can do that. But the question is, you can also do it this way, which might, believe it or not, be quicker and get you a more exact result. So just one more kind of math skill I wanted to talk to you all about, and hopefully that helped. We'll see you in class.